Greetings, knights and knaves, lords and ladies. 'Tis I, your Lord Commander, and welcome to the Lord Commander's official 2024 content roadmap. Look at this man, old man Baron Preston, I love it, in his prime. Look at the salt and pepper in his beard, god man. I've missed this dude, I've missed the military order to be sure. But, unfortunately, we are not here to play as the military order or as Sir Baron, but instead, we will be discussing our official 2024 content roadmap and all of the different campaigns, all the different series, and all the plans that I have for the year. But of course, you know, things kind of get in the way. Life finds a way, as it is so eloquently put in the in the Jurassic Park series. But you know, these are essentially the plans that I have been planning out over the past year, the past couple of months at least. But I'm definitely excited to try this shit out. And if it doesn't work out, honestly, it's no big deal. It's just a little something I wanted to test out. And hopefully you guys are excited about it, because I'm certainly excited about it. But there's only one way to truly find out, and that's to actually talk about it. So the year 2024 will be known as the Age of Knights, and within this age we have 4 planned eras, each with their own Bannerlord Knight faction series, a goal to be achieved, and their own struggles and obstacles to overcome on the journey to achieving said goals. Each of the different eras will come with its own Bannerlord campaign, complete with banners, color schemes, ideals, and for each era we have assigned a different color scheme associated with the different virtues that are assigned to each of the era titles. Within these 4 knight factions, we will strive to uphold the laws of chivalry that we have discussed earlier this month, and it will take a lot of roleplay to accomplish this task, but I believe the journey will be well worth it. Now, just a few more additional notes to go over before we jump into the each and individual different era. For each of these Bannerlord campaigns, we will be playing on a much harder difficulty setting than we have done before. Not the hardest difficulty, but harder, in order to make each campaign more of a challenge and more enjoyable and more memorable for all of us. I will be cranking up the AI difficulty, I will be cranking up the damage multiplier, and death will be very frequent and often for both our companions and our original characters as well. I would very much like to get to a point where our characters no longer have plot armor. They will essentially die, and we can just kind of move on and evolve each individual faction as the new ruler kind of comes in and takes over and whatnot. It should be interesting. I'm very excited. As well, each era will feature its own channel art, as well as intros, outros, background music, and more that will help tie the whole vibe of the era together. Now, over the past month or two, we have been putting out a lot of different community polls for you guys to vote upon. One of these content votes said that you all are most excited for Bannerlord content this coming year, but with Crusader Kings 3 content coming as a distant second. So with that in mind, this year we will attempt to feature an A and a B series throughout the course of the entire year. Series A will obviously be our Bannerlord era's campaign, whereas Series B will be our CK3 modded campaigns, either Realms in Exile, Elder Kings, or a Game of Thrones mod, or even the introduction of one of the newest and most ambitious mods in the CK3 modders community, GODHERJA. GODHERJA? I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But Soul Tomato has been doing a lot of videos about these, and I'm very excited to jump into it. He seems very excited about the lore, the world building. It's a massive project, and it's incredibly ambitious. And just seeing how excited he is for it makes me excited. So I'm definitely gonna try to jump in on that as well. Now, uploads for our B series will likely be once or twice a week, either on Sundays if I can only do 1 upload that week, or Tuesdays and Thursdays if I decide to do 2. And of course, we will be doing as many Saturday live streams as we can, but unfortunately do not expect too much of a steady schedule of those live streams. It will be pretty sporadic and random, just whenever we kind of get a chance between our uploads, our day job, and so on and so forth. Also, one last thing to mention, the month of October will feature the rise of a brand new villain arc and a brand new faction as well, so keep an eye out for that. I know you all really greatly enjoyed our Dread Legion series as we united the Empire under the banner of the Dread Legion. And of course, I love playing as the villain for you guys as well, so definitely keep an eye out for that, and we will make a brand new memorable villain faction for us to rally behind. But with that said and done, my loyal knights, it is now time to discuss the 4 individual eras in the Age of Knights. Our first era is titled Honor, and it will last from January 1st until March 31st. The Honor era will follow the knight faction known as Los Caballeros, a Spanish knighthood-inspired faction that follows the faith of the Knights of Light, an original faction and religion created during the reign of Sir Barond in the Military Order. In this era, Los Caballeros will strive to bring chivalry and the teachings of Sir Barond back to a divided, war-torn Calradia, and their best method of doing so is quite literally just to kill them with kindness. I don't want to spoil too much of the build, but I will say that the main focus of this campaign will be to honor the sanctity and autonomy of all beings on the continent and to turn our enemies into allies. The best way that I know to do this is by not taking any prisoners. Every time we defeat somebody, all the prisoners go free, even the lords. Because the point of this knight faction specifically, obviously, is to honor the sanctity of life. We're not here to just blatantly kill everybody, you know what I'm saying? And as we start to release our prisoners after every battle, our relations with these lords will increase, thus making it easier to turn our enemies into allies. This campaign will be titled The Knight Gentleman, which actually has a huge part to play in our role-playing because Los Caballeros is Spanish for the gentleman and the knight. It's kind of synonymous with one another. Our second era is titled Service, which kind of follows the same path as the previous era, but with a little bit of a different twist. The Service era will last from April 1st until June 30th, and will follow the Anglo-Saxon-inspired Vlandian faction known as the Seaward Fjord. Seaward is actually the Old English version of the term Coast Guard. Originally, I wanted to use the term Shore Guard and kind of play it off as like the remnants of the Shore Guard Vikings from our Bronzehelm Raider series have moved south to the lands of Karis in the southern coast of Landia and have become the new lords and the peasant armies of the Anglo-Saxon inspired faction down there. So Seaward does in fact mean Coast Guard, so we are essentially the Coast Guard Fjord. These Western warriors will utilize the soldiers of Wessex, Mercia, East Anglia, and Northumbria in the most dutiful peasant army on the continent. The Service era will focus on our service to Lord and land, and to God and King. While we play as a religious order in the previous era, this era will have a main focal point on our duty to our liege lord and to the Christian God, as the Saxons have in the Netflix show The Last Kingdom. My whole inspiration for this campaign actually comes from the Netflix show, so this will definitely be a fun recreation of the series. And much like the Saxons in the show, we are not a fully outfitted knight army of plate-armored brutes and highly skilled master swordsmen. Instead, we will have a lot of light to medium-armored peasant warriors as our base, and a couple of units to act as officers and sworn swords. We will essentially be playing as a massive peasant horde who take up arms for their god and their king. This campaign will be titled The Peasant Army. Our third era is titled Glory, which will return us to the lands between Vlandia and Sturgia, as the bastard son of a Vlandian knight and lord whelped upon a Viking warrioress of the north. This era will last from July 1st until September 30th, and we will be following the adventures of the Bastard Sons, a hybrid knight-Viking faction of warriors that seek to reclaim their honor and their name via the pursuit of glory on the battlefield and in the great arenas of Calradia. This era will see us take on fights in which we are vastly outnumbered and or outmatched, as well as participating in at least one tournament in every city on the continent. We will attempt to build a mighty brotherhood of nameless warriors who have nowhere else to call home and no one else to call family, and yet all of us bastard sons will be brothers in arms, and our home the battlefield. This campaign will be titled Glory Hounds, which will incidentally also be the name of our high tier, faction troops. because the main sigil of our banner is in fact a couple of dogs just moving in different directions, kind of like the Clegane banner from Game of Thrones. Our fourth and final era for the Age of Knights is titled Sacrifice, where we will follow the Night's Watch-inspired Battanian faction known as the Ryderian Guard. A mixed group of criminals and volunteers that are sworn by oath and by law to defend the lands of Battania from all threats. Much like the Night's Watch, we are able to recruit criminals and prisoners to our ranks as penance for their crimes against the realms, but we also take on many volunteers as well. This era will last from October 1st until around the area of New Year, so between December 25th and New Year's. This era will focus on our willingness to make sacrifices for the good of the realm. Many of our brothers and sisters in arms will lay down their lives to defend the sacred green woods of Battania from the industrialization of the Empire and the feudal expansionism of the Vlandians. Many will die nameless, the world unknowing of their great sacrifice, but they will make it anyway. This is our great glory, and our great tragedy. This campaign will be titled The Night's Watch. Also, in one of my more recent polls, you guys did vote that the Ryderian Guard banner is the one that caught your eye the most, which is quite unfortunate because I agree, it is one of my favorite banners of the 4 different eras that I've created, with the exception of the Los Caballeros banner as well. It was definitely a fun one. But unfortunately, that will be the furthest and final era and campaign of the Age of Knights, so it won't start until October thereabouts, which is quite sad. I was very excited, but it's kind of just teed up that way, and the only reason I have it set in this specific order is because of the motto of our house: honor and service, glory and sacrifice. So those 4 main virtues, honor, service, glory, sacrifice, have become the titles of our 4 eras. But I will consider making another vote, in which case, you guys can choose which era you'd like to witness first. Because if you guys decide to watch the Ryderian Guard first, I'm not upset by that, like by any means. I would absolutely love to do that for you guys. But anyway, lads, that is just about it that we have to talk about for this content roadmap. We will try our very hardest to keep everything on a steady upload schedule, 8 a.m. on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and then 8 a.m. on Sundays for our B series. But of course, life does often get in the way, so if anything happens or if the plans happen to change along the way, I will definitely communicate with you guys. I don't want to leave you guys in the dark by any means. And of course, these plans aren't set in stone. It's something that I would like to have happen for our channel, both as a community kind of narrative as we push along this story of the Calradian Tales and the story of Sir Baron Preston and his bloodline and his teachings and everything like that. But if something changes, you guys decide you want a different style of content, or maybe you're kind of just bored with a certain series, of course I will absolutely keep that into consideration as we go about making the content for the Age of Knights. Oh my god, speaking of, I almost forgot to mention, but every single one of these eras does take place in the same universe on the same sacred timeline as the Military Order, Sir Baron, Sir Hodge, and the Amber Dawn, all of which are one massive collection of stories. I will get into more detail as each of the series campaigns kind of go out. So at some point throughout the year, throughout the Age of Knights, I will be putting out a video kind of just discussing this massive sacred timeline is what I want to call it. Almost kind of taking that from Marvel a bit, but yes, our sacred timeline of the House of Preston and the Military Order and the teachings of the Amber Dawn. But with that said and done, my loyal knights, I do genuinely hope you guys are as excited as I am for this Age of Knights coming up in 2024. I hope that you guys enjoy each of the different eras and the associated campaigns, and I genuinely hope that you guys continue to show your support as I just absolutely love each and every one of you guys. But until that time, my loyal knights, always, always, always remember the honorable words of our noble house of Preston, the founder of the Military Order and the grandsire to the great teachings of Amber Dawn. Honor in service, glory in sacrifice. And I, your Lord Commander, will see you in the Age of Knights. Goodbye.